All right, well, good morning, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. We are delighted to be joined by so many smart, competent, powerful, amazing women legislators and commissioners, and a few men of taste and discernment. Governor, nice to see you. And we are so happy to celebrate this day. Our theme is embracing equity. And we know that equity is not the same thing as equality. We need to understand that all women are not similarly situated, and we have to take into consideration all the different circumstances that they face. And we need to do this work in a bipartisan way, because if we want to empower women, it will take all of us working together. So I want to start with gender parity. 50% of university and higher education students are women at our colleges and universities, but only 35% of the top management positions and less than 9% of leadership positions at Fortune 500 companies are held by women, and only 1% of Fortune 500 CEOs are led by women of color. And women also continue to get a smaller salary than men. Women get approximately 82 cents on the dollar to what men get. But Connecticut, fortunately, is doing a little better. Connecticut's ranking in U.S. News and World Report is an example of what a state can do if they focus on pay equity. Overall, our state ranks number 7 in terms of being the best state in the country for gender equality. And Connecticut, here's the best part, Connecticut ranked number 1 in having the smallest pay disparity. But we are still needing to do more work because we earn only 97 cents on the dollar. Now, why do we have a disparity? Well, women tend to dominate in certain important industries. What are those? Education and social services, right? Healthcare and hospitality. Therefore, we need to change our job classifications for our nurses, teachers, and child care providers. They are in dire need of equitable solutions, and we need more people to go into those important occupations. We need more women in the workforce, let's be honest. We have 100,000 positions that are open. Well, the federal government tackled this problem in World War II. How did they do it? They supported free national child care so that women could go work in factories across our country and not have to worry about child care. So we know that our country has tackled this problem, and we are so happy to have Commissioner Beth Bai leading us in this effort to provide more child care that is affordable for everyone. Now you see behind me the women leaders, many of whom are in the legislature. One of the reasons there are so many women is several years ago we passed a bill with bipartisan support to make contributions for child care an allowable expense in our citizen election program. But there's so much more that we need to do to catch up so that we can have parity. We need more women in our legislature. We need more women in leadership in our legislature. We need more constitutional officers, and we need more female leaders of state agencies. Right now, I'm very proud to tell you that 48% of our commissioners and executive directors are leading our state agencies who are women. We are very proud of them. Many are joining us today. And just about 30% of our commissioners and executive directors are people of color. More than half of them are women. We have more work to do, and we are committed to doing that important work. I will tell you that 2023 was a special year because our country made history having a record number of female governors. Right now, we have 12 of 50 governorships held by women. That's the most we've ever had. But here's the problem. There are still 18 states in our country that have never had a female governor. So we also know that in our United States Congress, we're not at parity. We're nowhere close. Women make up only 28% of our United States Congress, and the number hasn't increased that much over time, and there are only 25% of women in our United States Senate. So we have so much more to do, but here in Connecticut, we are leading the way. In Connecticut, approximately 39% of women are in the House, 12 of whom are newly elected. And in our Senate, we have 33% women, 4 of whom are newly elected. So we know we have a lot more to do to encourage women to take on more leadership responsibilities and to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we can encourage more women to be in leadership roles is our amazing Secretary of the State, Stephanie Thomas, who's going to say a couple of words.
Thank you. Wow, it is so great to stand here with so many smart, amazing, committed, bold women, especially women who are serving our government. I think this is so important in a real way because local, state, federal governments make all the decisions that shape our possibilities as women, whether it's pay equity or child care like we just heard about. And our presence here matters because we desperately need representation at all levels of government to influence those policies that determine women move forward or move backward, or if they have the equal opportunity to learn, to be healthy, to be safe. Our country, as we just heard, has a staggeringly low number of women in legislative seats or major decision-making roles. And while we have made progress, there is still much work to do. And I know that all of us here will help more women run for office. And for those who can't run, let's talk about my favorite subject, voting. I have spoken to many women who struggle to make it to the polls on Election Day because of the responsibilities that they all too often have to shoulder in their home or in their careers. So it's not good enough for us to encourage other women to simply vote. We must empower them to do so by creating equitable opportunities and policies. So while I may sound like a broken record, that's why early voting is not just a Connecticut issue. I believe it's a women's issue. When we expand the right to vote, we allow more women to engage in the civic process. And when more women are engaged in our government's decision-making, whether by voting or by holding office, we all win. So thank you for having me here today. Thank you to all the women who have stepped up to run for office. Let's get it done.
All right. Thank you so much, Madam Secretary. And let me note that we are joined by our wonderful past Secretary of the State, Denise Merrill. Thank you for coming. And I want to give a shout out to some of our commissioners who join us today. We have the executive director of our CHRO, Tanya Hughes. Tanya, raise your hand so we can see you. We have Michelle Gilman, our DAS commissioner. We have standing near her our Commissioner of the Office of Healthcare Access, Deidre Gifford. We have Beth Bai, our Office of Early Childhood Commissioner. We have Beverly Straight-Kafalis, Probate Court Administrator. We have Tashawn Bowden-Lewis, Chief Public Defender. Deborah Chandler, State Librarian. Elizabeth Bizzuto, Chief Court Administrator, Judicial Department. Salem Mascara Bruno, our Department of Housing Commissioner. Vanessa Durantes, DCF Commissioner. Amy Porter, our Aging Commissioner. And we have Leander Dolphin, Chair of Judicial Selection. And did I miss anybody? All right, everybody here is important. And we're delighted that we have a bipartisan group of legislators with us today who have introduced and are shepherding through a variety of pieces of legislation that are designed to empower women in our state. We can't do this work alone in the executive branch. We need our legislative leaders, and I'm very happy today that we have the leaders of our bipartisan Women's Caucus. So I'm going to bring up Representative Dorinda Borer and Representative Nicole Claridis-Dietra.
Thank you so much, Susan, and happy to represent our legislative body with my co-chair, Nicole. And we want to thank our governor as well as along with our lieutenant governor for hosting this event, because when we bring awareness, we bring more action. I want to repeat one of the statistics that our lieutenant governor indicated, and that's 52% of our population in Connecticut are women, yet only 36% of our General Assembly consists of women legislators. And even though Connecticut was one of the first to ratify the woman's right to vote, and even though we know more women turn out in elections than men, again, we're only 36% of the General Assembly. So clearly we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do to energize, encourage, and elect more women. However, in true fashion and true women's style, even though we are a smaller percent, we have managed to pass some significant legislation just in recent couple of years. And I think it's really worthy to just mention a few of them, because we should celebrate all the work that all these women behind us are doing, because it's making a difference for women in Connecticut. In the past few years, we passed landmark legislation for women's health care that requires coverage for mammograms, ultrasounds, biopsies, mastectomies, and reconstructive surgery. It's one of the first in the nation. We passed Jennifer's Law that expands the definition of domestic violence to coercive control so we could hold aggressors responsible for their actions. We passed legislation that requires our state board and commissions to have more gender diversity, because it's not just about legislation, it's all about the policies we make in Connecticut. We passed legislation that created funding for a women's manufacturing program. We fund and help the Women's Business Development Council, which is an organization that not only provides grants to women, but helps women start up businesses. We banned employers from asking for salary history so that we end the perpetual low salary that women endure. Yes. We passed legislation to address assault on campuses of women. And 67% of minimum wage earners are women. So when we pass minimum wage, we put more earnings in women's pockets. We established, that's right, we as a legislative body established the Office of Early Childhood because we know most women are in those roles, and we're very grateful to Governor Lamont for appointing Beth Bai, a woman, to lead that organization. I know there's a lot more, but I just wanted to give you a little sample. We can't run through them all, but that's just an idea of all the work that we're doing, and we have a lot of women initiatives on the agenda for the 2023 session. So just want to take an opportunity to thank all the women here and the men in the legislative body, because they stand with us shoulder to shoulder, and they help lead us and help us. They help us lead and get the passage of the bills. So together, we're going to continue that fight just the way we have since 1920. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorinda. Like I said before, none of this would be possible if I didn't have the great leadership and the partner in Representative Dorinda Boer. But I want to thank everybody for being here today and celebrating International Women's Day with us. And for more than 100 years, people from all walks of life, not just women, have marked this day to celebrate equity and the social and economic culture and political achievements of women. Like many of you, I was fortunate to be raised by parents that never saw my gender as a negative, who told my sister, Themis, and me we could do anything we dreamed of as long as we worked hard, treated others with respect and compassion, and stood by our word. And like you, I know it's not always easy to tune out those negative or sexist comments, but it is great showing naysayers what women can accomplish. I'm proud to be a member of a diverse state legislature that, according to the Center for American Politics, Women in Politics, ranks 18th out of the 50 states with 36.9% of women serving. That's 69 out of 187 legislators. Our state ranks dropped a little because the number of women serving is growing nationally. In Connecticut, having strong female leadership is nothing new, and Lieutenant Governor Bysiewicz and Secretary of State Stephanie Thomas continued that long tradition of female leadership in the executive branch. I was also incredibly fortunate to serve alongside my sister Themis for 4 years when she became the first legislative leader of the Republican caucus. We now have made incredible strides since 1894, when Colorado elected the first female legislator in the country, but our progress in state legislators is not the only goal. The representation is about adding more women's voices to all walks of life, sports, recreation, and professions. I hope you'll all join me today, tomorrow, this month, and forever to embrace and promote diversity and equity in all aspects of our life. Thank you. All right. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce someone who generally likes to be the closer at press conferences. And I am honored to bring up my partner in government, honorary woman for the day, Ned Lamont.
Hey, thanks, Susan. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for letting me crash the party. Look, if you want to get the best and the brightest to run your government, you want to get the best and the brightest to run your business, run your community, it starts with women. And let's just face it. And this is the 80th anniversary of Casablanca. And what's the final line from Casablanca? Round up the usual suspects. That is the exact wrong way to lead a state, lead a business, and lead a country. And that's why we want the broadest reach. I want to do everything I can to get more women involved every day in electoral government, as well as starting businesses. That's what our priority is. Look, I look around the world, first of all. It's tragic. It's just extraordinary. We have more women than men going to college here in the United States of America, and that disparity is growing. Not a bad thing. Come on, guys, step up. You can fight back. But Afghanistan, they don't even allow women to go to school. In Iran, they're poisoning girls at schools right now. It's just shocking what's going on. Here in Connecticut and here in America, it's just the opposite. I'm doing everything I can. Susan and I, working with each and every one of you, make it easier for everybody to get to work, stay at work. You know, that starts with being able to start a family when you want to start a family. That means paid family and medical leave to make it a little easier for you to have that. That means expanded daycare. Thank you, Beth. More people, more slots available. Make it easier for people to get back to work. It's not just a smart thing to do, it's the right thing to do, and we need that. We need each and every one of our young people, each and every one of our women able to work, make it easier for them to work. That's how you get this state going again. That's how you make it grow. So this is International Women's Day. God bless you. Thank you for everything you do on behalf of the state of Connecticut. And come on, guys, let's get in the game.
All right. Well, before we take any questions from our media partners, I want to let everyone know that at 2 o'clock over at 165 Capitol Avenue in Conference Room G, right across from the Bushnell Theater, we will be holding, the Council on Women and Girls will be holding a leadership panel where we will be talking about women's maternal health and the progress we are making in maternal health care here in Connecticut. We're also going to live stream from our Facebook page. So we'd love to have you join us for that. And we do thank our media partners for joining, and we'll take any on-topic questions from the biggest panel of experts ever.
Well, maybe the co-chairs of the bipartisan caucus can tell us what's the sort of the top priorities and where we stand today as we are coming up on our JF deadlines for advancing legislation. So where does the agenda stand, top line items?
So the agenda stands, as we do typically every year, we wait until the committee process is over and the JF deadline is upon us. So we've asked all the women a few weeks ago to submit their priority bills, and what we do is organize them all, send them back out to the women to rank the top priority bills, and then we'll be releasing probably in 2 weeks our top 5 priority bills.
Anybody else on topic? Going once. Okay, thanks everybody.